episode of Sunday NBA Live Before Lock. Not only is it Spring Forward Day, Eddie, but it's also a split slate depending on which DFS side of choice you are playing on, which adds another level of complexity. I did not realize that till I started writing the article, how important it was going to be, because we know Giannis Antetokounmpo is out. Wow. Well, it's a fire drill, and we all know what to do when he is out. We do not yet have a official starting lineup here from from the Bucks, but I'm sure we will be getting it in time. Obviously, Bledsoe and Middleton are going to be the plays of plays today. Dante DiVincenzo gets a nice bump, and then the real question is it going to be Ersan Ilyasova, who was a DNP CD last game, or Marvin Williams' recent buyout acquisition that draws the start today? That's the real question. I suspect both will play.
He's been a DNP CD
several times.
Several 5 of the last 6.
Like in the Kyle O'Quinn DNP
6 of the
CD.
last 8. He's played fewer minutes than Marvin Williams every day that Marvin Williams has been on the team.
So. All right. You can tell certain weekend people might be doing content because it's split. There's a lot of people that reference, we think it will be Marvin Williams because of X, and then there are others that say, oh, Ersan Ilyasova starts every time that Giannis is out. It's like, new variable, guys. New variable. So
that's really a potential advantage there.
Shout out to the weekend warriors that do this. No slates off, no days off. That's how we operate here at Awesemo. So here are the key things that y'all need to... Did I just drop a y'all? I believe I did. Oh boy.
You really did. Dropped it hard.
That's generally not in my lexicon here. It was something I sort of picked up moving to Virginia. More people say it than ever. When I was in state of Washington, that was never part of it. It was like a joke. It was like the Dukes of Hazzard kind of thing. Virginia, people actually do say it here, especially as you get south towards Tennessee, North Carolina. So
y'all come back now, you hear?
Something along those lines. Now, back to the fun here. Draftkings and SuperDraft lock at 6. All-day slates have already started for FanDuel. So if you're not in those already, it's already locked. Your player's locked, no late swap. You don't get to play Phoenix and the Bucks. That causes all sorts of kerfluffles here. So that brings the Cleveland game very much into play, because we have Cleveland that's been running a 7.5, 8-man rotation here. And then we also have a relatively thin Detroit team. So there's some questions we have there, but that comes into the 7 o'clock play, where we have Yahoo and you have FanDuel. And then Fantasy Draft is at 6 o'clock as well. So those are the main moving parts amongst the sites. So we're going to be looking at this with the major lens here for the Draftkings and SuperDraft, since they lock at 6. We'll give a blitz a few minutes after the 7 or the 6 o'clock lock to hit on some FanDuel stuff, just to keep you guys squared away there. Plus, this is the bonus: you have all of us in the premium chat, etc., behind the paywall. So that's one of the good reasons why you should be here. And we are not going to stay on super late. So because my dog got me up today at 10 to 6, which was really 10 to 5, I guess. It was a mess, Eddie. My wife's gone. She's traveling. The dog decided it'd be fun to play because it was sort of light out. So she jumped up on the bed and brought her rope toy that she likes me to throw. Not good times.
Your wife? This
was the dog.
Oh, okay, because my wife has a rope toy. It's a whole different thing.
Well,
sorry, continue. I'm sorry.
All right. In any event, as we're waiting to collect some people in here, don't worry. We went a little early today, so we'd have plenty of time to cover and get all this stuff out of the way before we get into the meat of everything. So, SuperDraft, if you have not yet signed up, use the promo code Awesemo when you create your account. That will allow you to, when you make your first deposit, if it's $100 or more, they will give you $20 in Super Cash, which is their site currency and available for immediate use into any contest. All right, the moving parts we have: Gordon Hayward playing, no minutes limit. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, game time decision. We know that Cam Johnson is out because he is sick. DeAndre Ayton is going to be out at least another day, maybe a game, maybe 2, dealing with an ankle injury. Giannis has already been announced that he is going to miss the rest of this road trip. That will be tonight in Phoenix, as well as tomorrow in Denver. Tomorrow there is a 3-game slate starting at 7:30, so a rather thin slate.
Really, they get a 3-gamer on Monday? That's crap.
Yeah, it's a little odd, but in any event, you've got a lot of questions in Dallas, as well as Indiana in that matchup. You've got Doug McDermott likely out. We have Seth Curry out for sure. Questionable Tim Hardaway Jr. Questionable Victor Oladipo. Somehow Kristaps Porzingis questionable now with an ankle issue. T.J. Warren and Dorian Finney-Smith also questionable. A lot of moving parts there.
I don't think you mentioned Jalen Brunson, who is out.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Also pretty important.
Brunson is out, so that thins down the guard rotation, bringing some other people into play here. I don't know, perhaps a JJ Barea to counteract some of the Matthew Dellavedova that will likely be going on in things here. Aaron Holiday will draw another start with his somewhat limited fantasy production, but hey, minutes are minutes. Moving on to Miami and Washington, excellent spot here for what's his name? Jimmy Butler. He's like 8,000 on approximately on both sites. A nice little move as we transition into the games that are on both sides for their main slates. Tyler Herro's still out. Jay Crowder is in the concussion protocol, and Myers Leonard is still out. You do have Jerome Robinson questionable for Washington. He's dealing with the sore Achilles, and he has been kind of getting some minutes here as they are moving some of the pieces around. So we'll talk about that one in depth. Eric Gordon is still out, probably going to miss, obviously, tonight and maybe one more game. We had an in-day downgrade to Markelle Fultz. He is now questionable with a calf injury. Russell Westbrook did not play last night, and it certainly seemed like Houston forgot to show up for the first 6 minutes and change there before they got on the board. But Russell Westbrook in full tonight starting. That's going to be an exciting one there in Houston and Orlando, because on FanDuel, you really are looking at Nikolai Vucevic or a hot mess, pretty much. So that's an interesting one there. You've got Brandon Knight, who is questionable, which is important. He's dealing with the sore hamstring. He's been picking up a lot of minutes there for Detroit. Bruce Brown will play. And then Dennis Smith Jr. is questionable for that game. Frankie Ntilikina is available. He had been dealing with an ankle injury. And then San Antonio and Cleveland, it's the walking wounded. We're still without LaMarcus Aldridge. Marco Bellinelli thins out the guard options there. What's his name? Walker Jr. Lonnie Walker IV was ruled out today as well. And we saw a starting lineup that had DeMar DeRozan at the power forward and moving White into the starting lineup. So if you have rules set up in your optimizer regarding the guards with San Antonio, you may want to double check them, and you probably don't need any rules with them tonight. And then Darius Garland is out. Andre Drummond is in. I haven't seen anything on Tristan Thompson, but he played a bunch of minutes last night. I want to say 38, 37, 38, somewhere around there. It was a lot. And finally, the late night hammer. We needed these extra 15 minutes just to talk about all the injuries, Eddie. The late night hammer, we don't know what's going on with Marc Gasol or Fred VanVleet. I suspect they will both remain out, but that causes extra moving parts because Norman Powell has been phenomenal in the absence of Fred VanVleet. But if VanVleet's back, Powell's way too expensive. OG Anunoby is way too expensive, especially if you're playing on DraftKings, where you can really make some differences with late swap, but you're going to be using a lot of your lineup in that Phoenix and Milwaukee game. That's a lot, Eddie. I don't know that I've ever talked this much injury action on a Sunday in a couple years for NBA.
Yeah, no, there's quite a bit going on, both yesterday and today. So there's a number of exciting things we're making some adjustments for as we speak.
All right, so let's see here. So SuperDraft, as I do want to remind you guys, they have the multiplier. They do not have salary cap. You have 3 guards, 3 forwards, as well as a center slot. Tonight's $20,000 jump shot has 1,100 spots left in at the moment. I suspect we will get probably right around rake neutral on that one, but we shall see. Last night there was a push towards the end to fill it, but that was, again, just a 4-game slate, and we went an extra half hour for that one. So tonight there definitely could be room in that one. If you want to get in there, $5 fadeaway, the $2 the $1 and one, the nickel, etc., you're probably going to want to lock in now because those contests will fill.
Do you want to go the extra hour tonight?
No. Unless I haven't played on FanDuel in a long time, but I could probably do some mass multi-entry and we could have a course on that with you guiding me along with the audience. But
how would I guide you, having never mass multi-entered? I think that's on you.
Well, I would ask questions. That's the way to go.
I can theoretically, I'd like to talk about it quite a bit, but as far as practical knowledge, I'm not your guy for the MME. As I have to tell like 3 people a week, they're like, "Hey, how do you put this setting in Fantasy Cruncher?" I'm like, I don't even know what that is. I'm sure it's very important.
You've heard tell of Fantasy Cruncher, and I talked long enough that we now know Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is out.
Is he out? Really?
He is out.
Wow, that happened in a hurry. That's pretty exciting.
Yes.
Let me get into some details on that.
All right.
Look at a rotation here. Could it be the age of Dort?
Oh boy.
Could it be Dort time?
I certainly don't know about that. Just looking, I mentioned that Fultz was. Yeah,
I think it's his first game out. I'm gonna check, but I don't think he's missed a game. I could be wrong, but I think he was Iron Manning this shit. Let's see. Nope, 63 games played. If I remember the record, that's he has not missed a game. How fascinating. Well, that puts a lot of interesting guys on this team. Like they already were priced a little more reasonably. The matchup, not one I was particularly excited about, but you go from splitting that offense kind of easily 5 ways. I mean, you ended up with a lot of even games with usage and shot totals between Schroeder, SGA, Paul, Gallinari, and Adams being really the 5 players of relevance on this team. You ignore the Dort, the Basley, the T. Ferg, the whoever else grabbing that spot, and Schroeder gets his 30 off the bench. At this point, when they all, again, using some very loose and roundy math, go from 20% usage apiece to bumping that number up to 25 apiece, that gives me a little more interest. So let me try to reproject a rotation here. And that's this today. That's at least going to get
all right.
balls.
While you're doing that, I am going to remind everybody we do have the Fred Van Elite Fan Club. That is a DK contest. You'll want to join the Awesemo DK League, and we just post fun contests in there. Usually just the Fred Van Vliet contest, but we've also been doing some NASCAR. But you're not going to get totally spammed on it. So I'm dropping the link to my pinned tweet in chat. So what you want to do is join that. It's just $1. Contest must fill to run. I didn't get to it quite as quickly as I normally do, but we're at 56 of 100. It should fill. To help it fill, if you are top 3 today in that contest, which pays out top 20 people anyway, if you're top 3 with an Awesemo avatar, I will get you 30 free days of Awesemo premium content. Normally we just do 1, but I will make it 3 since I would like to see that fill today. I have to play Fred Van Vliet. If he's ruled out, I play his direct backup. That's the only caveat that we have for this one. So I have to leave that spot open. In any event, you'll want to check that one out. It's a lot of fun. If you have not yet signed up for Awesemo and you want to test us out, instead of trying to win that contest, you can use the promo code LiveBeforeLock and get 50% off any 1-week package. That's your nice little intro into this. All right. Do you have that your reprojected lineups there?
Yeah, I due to his not previously having missed a game this year, I have to wiggle some stuff around to have it make sense. I have Abdul Nader, who's back in there, probably picking up the most minutes, and he's one of the guys on that bench unit. Either he or Hamidou Diallo will pick up some significant chunk of time. The starting lineup will be somewhat instructive for us. This is a lock game, so let's table it for a moment. I'll make my best guess at rankings, push those live with the update, and then as soon as we get a Thunder starting lineup, I should be able to guess at this a little better.
Okay. Do you want to talk Phoenix and Milwaukee? We don't have that starting lineup either.
Sure. You lead the way for a second.
All right. So, Aron Baynes. Wow. Probably a performance for the ages there. Nearly 70 fantasy points.
That was something.
At basically a minimum price. Did not miss from 3-point range seemingly the entire game. Almost had a 20 and 10 in the first quarter. basically,
we call that the Shake Milton.
yeah, it was pretty impressive. So we can go back to him. Remember that Milwaukee does play fast, and he has a reasonable enough game that he can hang around there with whichever Lopez brother is in the game. So I'm not worried about him getting run off the court or anything like that. Obviously, DeAndre Milton's out. You can look to Ricky Rubio. You can definitely go to Devin Booker. Both of those guys have solid multipliers over there in SuperDraft, and they are our favorite options. Remember, Dario Saric is out, so we got to fill 35 minutes. We don't have Cam Johnson, we don't have DeAndre Ayton. We got all sorts of usage going everywhere. And with the way this game will probably pace up dramatically, Phoenix is not really going to have an issue, I will say, going small, meaning playing more guards, because they really don't have that many wings, or that's where they're missing most of their key recent rotation guys. On the Milwaukee side, with Giannis out, we know that Middleton and Bledsoe both are about a 1.45 fantasy points per minute when he is off the court. They both have in the low 30s, like 31 and a half and 32.3 or whatever, depending on the site. You're looking at usage rates, which are phenomenal. Both of them see a slight uptick in rebounds, which I would have thought would be higher, not as high as I would have expected when you consider that Giannis is like fourth in the league in rebounds, but they both see a significant increase in assists percentage, which was also pretty high. So those guys, the real question is, how much above the field do you want to be? Is 80% a good number? Is 90%? I don't know. So that's kind of the leverage thing we want to talk about there. You can go to Robin Lopez, who's reasonable. The real question is it going to be Marvin Williams or Ersan Ilyasova? If Ersan gets the start, he obviously has the edge. If Marvin Williams draws the start, you get a little bit nervous that Ersan may only see like 15 minutes in this type of a game. So that makes him a little bit more quicksand-like, in my opinion. That's my take on the
game. Yeah. So first of all, I think you said there that Dario Saric is out, and I think that was you misspeaking.
I'm sorry, Kelly Oubre.
Kelly
Oubre, my bad. Saric very much in play.
Yep. Yeah, just so that people don't poop themselves as we discuss that game. So yeah, the obvious plays are Bledsoe and Middleton. We're talking about basically just Draftkings here because they're not available on the other sites in question.
We just got it. Ersan Ilyasova is starting. Came out 1 minute ago.
Okay, well, that solves that. Perfect alongside, timing. Did they give the rest? Is Wes Matthews still in there?
They did not.
Okay. There at some point in the near future, I expect Wesley Matthews to go to the bench and Dante DiVincenzo to start.
George Hill is available to play.
Yeah, that was expected. Though he was questionable, so good that he's in. So okay, Giannis won't play. George Hill will play. Ersan will start. I'll assume they start Wes Matthews. I will not go through the entire 10-minute deep dive of statistics of the number of games over the years since Bledsoe came to town. But suffice it to say, especially at the pricing differential you're looking at DraftKings, where they're cheaper, if I'm leaving one of them out of a lineup, which I wouldn't in one lineup. In one lineup, I would put those two guys in and then move on. If I'm leaving one of them out of a lineup, it's Chris Middleton. Bledsoe in every way gets a better boost and he's cheaper. And if one of those guys is going to have a bad game, it would be Chris Middleton. I find that very unlikely, and 6,500 is a farcically low price. So I have no problem if you just 100% lock those guys and move on with your day. But if you're looking at one of those guys to not make their nut, it would be Chris Middleton, much more likely than Eric Bledsoe, because again, that nut is more significant, and also he's just not as consistently outstanding sans Giannis. Having George Hill in hurts. I will use sort of obliquely the word Bledsoe in that. If he was out, I'd even have Bledsoe for like 38 minutes or some fairly crazy number. But all of this doesn't really matter. The usage should be there. So what really comes into is, and I don't have much to add there. What do we have currently as their projected ownerships on DraftKings? I'm curious. I will guess that we have, I think you'll actually get higher Middleton because of the positionality. So I'm going to guess you have 84 Middleton and 79 Bledsoe.
Loading it now to see where we are at. We got this update 6 minutes ago. We have Middleton, and so this may change a little bit throughout the course, but we have Middleton at 52. We have Bledsoe at 41. We have Baynes at 30.1. Marvin Williams at 21.8. That'll probably flip a little bit once the Ersan information is incorporated there.
All right. So those numbers are low on the top two. I don't know if they'll get to the numbers I put them at, but if you think those numbers are remotely accurate, the correct decision is to play 100%, not close. If those guys are on 50 and 40%, absolutely, by far, unarguably, the correct decision is to play 100% of those two players. They project as points per dollar the best players on the slate significantly are in a good matchup in a game that should say closer than almost any game they ever play in, which means that their normally underrepresented minutes would trend back up and they're underpriced. Like there's literally nothing wrong with them. Their point of equanimity would be in the 70s or 80s at the point at which fading them would become mathematically viable or correct. If that ownership holds, they should be 100% owned each, period, full stop. Past that, let's talk about some of the other guys on this team.
All right. DiVincenzo's my big question.
Sure. I do not expect him to start. I expect him to be more productive, but due to Hill being back, ends up being a relevant part of that. Assuming Westman, now there's a chance they move him into the starting lineup here. Reading between the tea leaves, I think I mixed my metaphors there. Reading between the lines or reading the tea leaves, I've gotten the impression that he will start towards the end of the year, and they'll move Matthews into the second unit, which I think they should. DiVincenzo is better at both ends of the court right now. He's better shooting. He's better distributing the ball at this point. He's a better defender. He picks up more steals. He's better in transition. He's almost a strictly better player. They should probably make that swap sooner than later, and I don't think they want to do it in the playoffs. So I'm going to be kind of surprised if we hit April 1st and DiVincenzo isn't starting over Wes Matthews. But so I'd really like to see him starting, in which case he'd become a priority for me. He'd be the third guy after either of those two guys. Assuming he does not start, Brook Lopez would be my pretty clear boost here. These two teams did have their first cross conference game earlier this year. Not a lot to draw from that. Baynes did not play at all. Ayton started, but there's some simulacrum and ability to duplicate that scenario with the fact that you did get a very, very good Brook Lopez game with Ayton in there. Both Ayton and Baynes are not terribly good at getting out and guarding the three-point line, which is sort of what you're hunting when you look at Brook Lopez as a GPP option. Obviously, some usage and shots should have opened up here in that first matchup with the Suns. I think he had 8 blocks in that game. So, that's possible again to some extent. We have at least seen it before. So 4,600 on Brolo. That's pretty exciting third wheel for me. What's our price on Ursan? Marvin was 3 flat. I'm trying to remember Ursan's number.
I don't have that up. Let me upload that file, but I thought he was the same.
Yeah, I mean at 3,000, it's really hard to get away from there. And now you're playing a whole lot of bucks, but I don't mind. At this point, if you force me to guess a minutes total on Ursan Ilyasova, I would have something much more conservative. I would say probably 21. Now, he has played more than that in most, if not all, of the games he's played.
Ursan is the minimum, by the way, just confirming.
Yeah, which it's not surprising. He literally has played, I'm not going to look, but something like 2 of the last 9 games. Marvin has basically taken that spot, but they've decided for today that, Marvin is going to play with the backup unit. So, I absolutely love Ursan at 3K. I'm probably a little more conservative on the minutes because I think other people are just going to look at other games. Giannis didn't start, some of which blew out, some of which didn't, sort of average that out, and that would give you a number closer to 24 or 25, I think. I think the existence of Marvin possibly, if not likely, takes a bit off that, but doesn't really matter. Ursan's a very good fantasy basketball player, can do threes, blocks, rebound, all kinds of nifty stuff. 3K is too little for him, even if he's playing 20%. I consider him less of a priority than Bledsoe and Middleton, because even if Ursan has a good game, and Ursan, while he has been phenomenally productive in the absence of Giannis, if you look specifically at the last game, that time he struggled a bit more, and it was just because he sort of played at his average levels. The other games where Giannis was out, whether or not he's trying to prove something to someone or raise his trade value or get or whatever, but he was phenomenal. He was picking up, an average of 21 rebounds per 36 and shooting 75% from the field and from 3, and just So when gauging him in your own internal mechanism, whatever that may be, I think it's reasonable to look at him at, 3K and probably somewhere around 25 fantasy points, which feels really good and he'll be popular. But I wouldn't use the flat baseline of this is what has happened with Giannis out, because it isn't representative of him as a basketball player. That's just one of those things. So optimistic, but cautiously so.
Any fear for Baynes in this particular matchup? A couple people have asked, will it go small? So it's a very valid question.
It's an incredibly valid question. They're on an island, which is nice. He's had 48 hours after, doing his thing nasty there against Portland. That was quite a thing. That was I did not have a show that day, but I popped in chat, was talking with some people, and we were talking about Baynes, and I'm like, well, he hasn't been 100%. And Adam was in there saying, yeah, I think he plays as much as he possibly can. And I said, I would play every bit I could get my hands on if he starts. It was literally the only comment I made on Friday about DFS. And I imagine he was very popular once they announced him as the starter, and Pete should have been. And I didn't see that coming. People are like, he's got a smooth stroke. His shot looks like balls. I want to be clear. The fact that he can execute a proper step back is fine, but he is shot putting. He literally is putting it in his hand and is just there's a push at the end. There's almost no wrist. He's doing which, God bless him. I love Aron Baynes. Plays hard. Developed a very nice 3-point shot once he found out that was a requirement to play in the league. God bless the guy. But someone was like, what a sweet stroke. I'm like, no, not really much of that was it's not a pretty shot, is all I'm gonna say. Kristaps is a pretty shot, and the dude's the size of a sequoia. But anyway, any concern for Aron Baynes? Yes, I have some concern for Aron Baynes. I mean, it depends the context by which you're asking the question. I think the matchup is very, very good for Aron Baynes. You got a great game out of 8 in the last time these two teams played against physical down low centers. The Bucks are generally specific. I probably have Aron Baynes projected for, I think, 31 minutes and 33 fantasy points, which is just fine at 3,400, 3,500. I have concern with him continuing to be Superman, but it's a fine spot for him. So it's going to come down to ownership. I think I heard you mention him in the top ownership. I'd go somewhere else then. I like Aron Baynes just fine. If a guy plays at this level for the first 382 games of his career and then goes Michael Jordan for a game, I think the expectancy would be that he will go back to the 380 games that he played at the lower level at the next, which is still just a fine fantasy basketball player. And if he was going to be, if the last game on Friday hadn't happened, Aron Baynes would be
25%.
12, maybe
12,
10. I don't think he'd be massively. I mean, center's kind of thin, so maybe 15.
Yeah.
But
that's fair
if
point.
he's going to pull 35% ownership, yes, I think absolutely that's an underplay. I'll take Brook Lopez. I would across the ball in just this one game to start with. So, yeah, I mean, I just had a great game. I will play that guy the next day is the thought process that leads to DFS being profitable. It really is. If you could pick one thing that people do that's dumb too often, it's that. So Aron Baynes will not shoot 100% from 3. He will not take that many shots. He will probably not play that many minutes, and he will be playing against a world-class offense, even minus Giannis, but still an extremely good defense rather. So he prices just fine, but he prices no better for me than 9 other guys in the slate who cost 5 or 5,500 and project to score somewhere around 30 fantasy points. So I would be more inclined to get to name a player really than this guy randomly at 40%. He's great, but there was not, he did not, monstar the talent out of Damian Lillard during that game. That's how I come down anyway. I'm going to look at you get outlier games. I think that qualifies as one.
No, absolutely. Now, how are you feeling about Booker, Rubio, Saric? Is there anybody beyond those 4 that you would go to for Phoenix who is equally shorthanded? Well, not equally shorthanded, more shorthanded. But the cover's a little bare when you get to them.
Yeah, I Booker, Rubio, Saric, certainly Baynes himself. Bridges are the guys I think are all should see big minutes here. You have Phoenix on an island game. Milwaukee, by the way, not. They play again tomorrow, which is the source probably of the DNP for Giannis, although they've said they'll leave him out tomorrow as well against Denver, so he'll get a nice 4 days off.
Yeah, they don't play again until Thursday.
All together. But yeah, Rubio's still underpriced for me. Disappointing game out of Tobias Harris yesterday, but similar to that in that his price is about where it should be, and it should have risen up for the absence of Ayton and Oubre. That's a lot of offense. And setting aside Friday, usually Baynes is not going to take that large of a role in the offense. And again, it's for him to get that free and take that many shots, you need a lot of defensive breakdowns, and that's something you can certainly get out of that last game, which was Portland, I believe, and they'll do that for you pretty frequently. They have Melo out there and Whiteside out there, and those guys are apt to miss a defensive assignment from time to time. So, but yeah, this team in general, I would probably rank from just a production per dollar standpoint. Booker, I really like quite a bit. Then it gets dicey for me. I would end up with, Baynes, Saric, Rubio, in sort of the same bundle for those three. And then I don't mind some deployment of McCall Bridges.
All right. So 2 questions. Any limit to the Bucks you would play in any format? The answer for me is whatever the site limit is. Question 2, are there any rules that you would make for this game? And then we'll move beyond it.
I would not play Ersan and Marvin Williams.
Okay.
I would not play Wes Matthews and Dante DiVincenzo. I would not play George Hill and Eric Bledsoe. I'm probably good with those sets of rules. As far as a limit goes, no, they're too cheap. We're talking about DraftKings only, and just nobody costs enough where I think DraftKings limits you to 5 guys. So the most expensive 5 guys you could put on a team would be, I guess you'd use DiVincenzo. So you'd play Bledsoe, Middleton, DiVincenzo, Lopez, Ersan. I won't say that's an ideal construction, but yeah, there's enough peripheral stats there because you can just, of those 5 guys, so many can get there that don't need to score the bucket. Like, okay, you need Bledsoe and Middleton to go off and get their 40 and their 50 to make them worth it. Okay, that's a lot of stats, but Ilyasova can pick up plenty of steals, DiVincenzo can pick up plenty of steals. It's a very heterogeneous team here. It's a very global team here. Even with Giannis out, we got people from all over the world. And if you're bored, search up that Ersan Ilyasova is not actually Ersan Ilyasova, and that is not his real name. If you get bored,
God,
that's
a rabbit hole. It's interesting as hell, though.
That's actually a thing. But Ersan is 3 goddamn K, so like he can get 8 and 11 and a steal at a block and crush that price, and DiVincenzo can get there getting 4 steals. So I don't want 5 of them. I think 3 is probably the number I want, but I do think it's a priority to me to have a non-Bledsoe, non-Middleton buck. So if you're insisting on playing those 2, yeah, smatter in some other ones. Push yourself up and play, 9% Dante DiVincenzo, 18% Brook Lopez. Obviously, like whatever, I don't know, 50% Ersan Ilyasova, 20% Marvin Williams, 5% Wesley Matthews, so that you get them smattered in there as groups of other guys. But other than the specific groups I listed where the minutes would really make it less likely both those guys get there, yeah, I wouldn't be overly concerned with limiting exposure.
All right, we are officially done with this game. If there are questions about this game, rewind it. That was a lot of time, but this was very important. Now on to the next one, Eddie. We now have, or we do not have, let me get over here. Let's see, Sun starting lineup. You have, but I don't want that one. Porzingis is available to play. Dorian Finney-Smith ruled out. Hardaway Jr. available to play. Our other 6 o'clock game here, we do not yet have a starting lineup.
Dorian Finney-Smith is in?
Yes.
Okay. Hardaway's in.
Yes. As is the unicorn.
Okay, so that makes this all.
Right. You said Dorian Finney-Smith out, right?
I said in, but if you're saying he's out,
Sorry. He's out. I've got so many screens open. It's
no problem.
This is a pretty crazy day. It's like the last day of NBA, Eddie.
Porzingis is in.
Porzingis is in.
Okay, so you can get rid of whatever Willie Cauley-Stein you had. That's going to sort of screw that up a little bit. You can slightly increase your exposure to a slightly over-expensive but does carry an upside Maxi Kleber now that you have Dorian Finney-Smith out. Tim Hardaway Jr. at that price I'm not super thrilled with when you have Luka and Kristaps in. And you can play some Kristaps. More on DK 93, 99 on FanDuel. That's a very real number. Now last game he looked amazing and Luka was out there. One of the criticisms or at least commentaries that I've made about this team on the year is the fact that Kristaps has not looked great because he's not operating in the way he's operated for his entire career. And they're sort of forcing him into the Luka system, which is fine with me. Luka is the better of those two players, and he's the guy handling the ball. So you build things around him. I think that's a perfectly reasonable way to proceed. But you got much less ISO, which was a big part of Kristaps' game, is that he just, would dirk that shit. And he's so big that he can just shoot over everyone, and he shoots extremely well. So and then the last time I made that comment, he went out and they did an awful lot of that. So part of it is maybe he's becoming more and more healthy. Again, dude missed almost 2 years with his various knee and leg issues, and they've been working on his body. So part of it is maybe that. But still spending on him on a slate this big, 9,300, 9,900 doesn't feel ideal, but I don't have an objection to it. Whereas normally at that price with Luka, and I would have just been like, nah, let's not. Similarly, Luka I still love, but a little bit less. But he's still underpriced, especially that FanDuel price. It's someone I would make a strong commitment to.
All right, and yes, everybody, I know that wasn't the right game, but Eddie was on a roll, and you guys want to hear him, not me, so we're letting him talk. So our other 6 o'clock.
That's way later. That's the Indiana game or whatever. But
correct. So our other, you drop in the knowledge, man. This is what people want to hear. Now the other early game the other DK only game, SuperDraft only game is OKC at Boston.
Yeah, no SGA.
No SGA, no Jaylen Brown. I don't know what sort of. I don't think Kemba Walker's on a minutes limit. They might be monitoring them in some fashion.
I think he's on a limit.
What do you think? 26 feels about right. 28.
I think the last 2 games he played 24 and 27.
Okay.
Since return, so I have him at 29. The absence of Jaylen Brown is relevant, but this team is getting healthy. The matchup obviously not a super ideal one. SGA being out doesn't change a ton of that. So I do at this point have more interest in the Thunder than I do in the Celtics. The price on Jason Tatum is hard for me to justify with that number of people back. Again, we had a couple very good Jason Tatum days, but I was basing a lot of that on just expected shot volume. And when I knock enough off of that, he's still so expensive. I need him to give me like 50, and instead I have him projected for like 42 today, and that's just not certainly a priority for me. Obviously, I ranked him. You have him in a player pool, but I kind of like the matchup now for Gordon Hayward. I think he's 5,900 on one site. That's kind of the guy I'm most excited to put into a GPP lineup. They're going to run the minutes fairly evenly outside of Tatum, especially limiting Smart. You're going to get, limiting Walker. You're obviously going to get Smart.
Unfortunately, Hayward is 59 on FanDuel, so we don't get that one. He's 68 on DK.
Oh, well, then that's not doing a whole lot for us. Let me pull up my... I'm sure there's some showdown. If you're playing some showdown FanDuel, whatever nonsense...
couldn't you have all just picked the same?
There really should be. I used to tell literally people who work there, you guys should talk once a day. It's like, hey, what do you want to do for this NBA? I mean, unless you're intentionally trying to separate, and even then, talk once a day. But anyhow, Yeah, at those DK prices, Tice probably my favorite at that point. They should need him. I think you get 30 minutes out of him here. It's not a wonderful spot. These two teams played already. You got a good game out of Gallinari there. He's pretty cheap. I think he's like 59. So let's talk about the Thunder, because the Celtics for me I don't like the look of anyone. Daniel Tice would be my favorite Celtic, and I'm very unexcited about that. But in this matchup, I'd have him for like 30 or 31 minutes and 28 or 29 fantasy points, which is fine. So I'd have some reasonable exposure there, but I don't want to spend 95 on Tatum. That's a bit high. I don't want to spend 68 on Hayward. That's a bit high. I don't want to spend 66 on Smart. That's a bit high. And 74 on Kemba, I think is fine, because there's some chance he plays 35 minutes tonight, and then that starts to look pretty good. But concerns with all the plays on that team. You take SDA out now, you probably get Dort and Nader starting for this team, I would expect. Maybe they start Schroeder, which is really irrelevant. It's bad because more people will go there, but I kind of like Schroeder anyway. That price is still low. Hasn't been shooting well or producing terribly well for a while. I don't think that's apropos of anything terribly significant. This is an island game for both these teams. Both Oklahoma City and Boston did not play yesterday and do not play tomorrow. But 5,900 on Gallinari, I can get behind that number. Was good when they played earlier this year, which is, again, not terribly important, but price and opportunity, and taking SGA out of there. I mean, SGA is, I think, basically the top four guys on this team are tied for usage. Basically, Gallinari, SGA, Paul, and Schroeder have the same usage, give or take a point and a half. You could look it up for me, and it moves around a little bit, but they're all 24 to 26 at any given time, something like that. So just yanking one of them out of there, someone's going to replace that guy, but everyone else kicks up to 28, 29, 30, and they're already to some degree priced down in a difficult spot. So I like Paul, I like Gallinari, I like Schroeder. I probably like Schroeder the most of them simply because of the price. I would probably rank my appeal of these guys in GPPs right now: Schroeder, Gallo, Paul, Adams. Yeah, definitely Adams last. Gets the least, bonus there. Matchup with Tice, matchup with Celtics, not particularly good for him. He's cheap enough at 5,700. Island game, so you could really get the time there. But I like getting to a Thunder member in my lineup based on, like, I almost see how much money I have left over after filling in bucks and filling whatever, and then being like, okay, can I afford Schroeder or Gallo or Paul? I like one of those guys to have a very good game here. So, but points per dollar, that would be the order I would rank them. I would have Chris Paul projected highest for me now pretty significantly.
Specific question for our first two games: Saric or Daniel Tice?
Well, I want to rerun this.
And while you're looking at that, reminder, we've got 18 spots left. Top three, finish 1, 2, 3 with an Awesemo avatar. Get 30 free days of Awesemo premium content in the Fred Van Elite contest. I'm dropping the link to my pinned tweet into chat. Jump on in that. Must fill to run. I have to play Fred Van Vliet. If he's ruled out, then I get to play his direct backup. Other than that, knock yourselves out.
His direct backup, Kyle Lowry.
Well, sadly, it's Storm and Norman, which is better than Jeremy Lin, who I had to play a lot last year.
You had to play a lot of Jeremy Lin last year. I will take Saric there, though, by the slightest of margins. But if everything else is equal, I have Saric projected a little higher still.
All right. Anything else for our 6 o'clock games here?
Can't think of off the top of my head. Let's move on.
All right, then let's get on to some fun here. Let's move on to Indy and Dallas.
I will, at the very least, if we go off air, I will stay in the Slack chat and handle questions from members and tweets. If you're not, I will get to them after that between 6 and 7. So there's obviously some time there, and there's late swap on Draftkings and the other two sites locking. So we likely will get some relevant news there. So I will try to continue to inform this evening.
All right, questions. If you've already won the 30 days, can you win again? Yes. In this contest, my contest, the Fred Van Elite contest, yes, you can.
You can go
other contests, you got to follow around.
You can go infinite. Never got to pay, baby. Just go infinite.
All right.
That's great.
Anything else you wanted to hit on more fully there with Indiana and Dallas? We kind of nibbled on that one a little bit, but
Well, there's a lot of news there with, Brogdon's out, Lamb is out, Depot and Warren are questionable. Last I checked. Dougie McDuckets,
Victor Oladipo and TJ Warren available to play on Sunday. Dougie McBuckets ruled out. Look at that, Eddie. The gods are smiling on us today.
Okay, so Depot and Warren are in. That kind of screws everything up a little bit because it's gonna make everybody half-ass. But hold on, I'm gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I did not have that rotation set up. I did not think they would both be okay. All right, so they will start Holiday, Depot, Warren, Sabonis, Turner.
All right, now for those of you that have not yet signed up, if you want to go over there to SuperDraft, it does lock at 6 o'clock tonight. Their big contest does have some room in it at the moment. We do have projections for that, taking into account their very unique scoring system. It's all about the multipliers there. Use the promo code Awesemo when you first sign up, and when you do your first deposit, if it's $100, they will give you $20 in super cash.
Do we have a show after us?
After us? No, we do not.
Okay, so I'm just saying, if we need to go not to 7, but to 6:10.
Oh, we absolutely can
to get through all the 7 o'clock.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just saying, I don't want to rush.
No. We're good. We're good.
Okay, I just wanted to ensure that I could take my time. I
may have to take a bathroom break, fix some dinner or whatever. But yeah, I'll leave the stream running. And for those on my. No, I'm on to my second. You asked why I have so much ice, because I'm on to my second soda here. I finished the first one. You guys always like to tease me about it. The first one.
I'm pretty sick, and I'm looking for a drink, and I can't find one. So what I'm gonna do here, just so you can all share.
I have lots, and if I want to go with water, I have a nice glass of water with just a little bit of ice there.
You can share in my suffering. I'm gonna just take a nice healthy drink of this Dayquil.
Oh, no, don't do. You get caffeine in unique sources. I will continue to go with soda.
I'm ready to conquer a small Middle Eastern country. Okay.
Don't ever get that mixed up at night. Bad things happen when you use the orange one instead of the green one, and you're trying to go to bed.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So what was I doing? Oh yeah, I had a rotation I was working on over here. I'll do re-rankings too again in a second.
All right. So 900 spots left in that, and we have 26 minutes until it locks, but that is over there on SuperDraft. If you want to dabble, they've got the nickel 5 cents to get in. It's 150 max, the only 150 max on their site, but that is kind of fun as well. Feel like a big baller for just a moment. It's a good time.
I feel like a big baller all the time. Okay, still there?
I'm still here.
All right, so we got Dougie McBuckets out. That will lead to, God help us, some TJ Leaf time. I have him now entering the rotation and playing about a dozen minutes. No Brogdon. We can expect Aaron Holiday to start again at point, though it's a bit more of a nominal point because Warren touches the ball a little bit. They run some through the high post with modest Sabonis. Oladipo back ends up being incredibly relevant there. I wanted... That was, I think, right. Okay. It was both. Yeah, it was knee soreness on both those guys. All right, so he'll play this shift, and he'll play this. I have some appeal for what's going to be a really, really low-owned Victor Oladipo and a bit of a gunning matchup. I mean, my favorite player as far as I want to get him into lineups is probably Domantas Sabonis, especially on FanDuel where you can now actually play him. 8,300 is a very tolerable price. Yeah, just very strong individual matchups. Not really worried about anyone guarding him, and that price has come down low enough that I think he can start to get back on top of it. Very nearly triple-doubled, I think, when these two teams played earlier this year. Hold on, I got a box around here. But with like everyone healthy, I recall him looking pretty good. Yeah, they played less than a month ago. I remember watching this game. Here it is. Let's see. Sabonis, 37 minutes, 26 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 steals. That was with no Oladipo, but it was with Jeremy Lamb, so not a massive difference. Aaron Holiday started that game as well, was unsurprisingly somewhat poopy. Brogdon was in that game, so no Depot, but Brogdon, Holiday, and Lamb were in that one. But Sabonis, someone I like to be able to put together a decent game here. That FanDuel price, especially 8,300, I find pretty appealing. Certainly in play at 8,700 on DK. TJ Warren, I have my nervousness. His price is closer towards its top, and you've got most of your other usage guys back around. So in play, someone I'd have some of in tournaments, but the slate is larger, not much of a priority for me. I'd rather play Oladipo than Warren. I'd rather play Oladipo now than Aaron Holiday, I think. Holiday, carries some ability and upside, mostly with 3-pointers, can occasionally pick up enough assists. He is the guy I expect to get the minutes here consistently over McConnell or Justin Holiday. I would even play Justin Holiday over TJ McConnell at this point. But yeah, as far as interest in playing them in a tournament, it's pretty consistent site by site. It would be for me Sabonis, Oladipo, Turner, Justin Holiday, Aaron Holiday, I think is how I would rank those guys. We're at the point where even if you only give me 28 minutes of Victor Oladipo, and that might be a bit optimistic. I think I have him at 27 now. His price is into the low fives. His ownership is going to stay low, and one of these days he will remember how to shoot the basketball. So island game for Indiana as well, and Dallas. So a lot of interest in this game. Again, still no Brunson, still no Curry for Dallas. So not going to be as much to take advantage. If Kristaps and or THJ had been out, like we lost DFS, but if either of those other two guys had been out, I'd ended up very heavy on this team and strongly advocating for Maxi Kleber, and Delon Wright would have been the first couple guys I'd have looked at. Well, actually, probably Willie Cauley-Stein would have been the first guy I looked at, but then those other two guys would have been a significant interest for me. Now you still have Doncic and Tim Hardaway Jr. and Kristaps. So even where now some minutes will be available because of the absence of Brunson and Curry, with their 3 largest usage guys back out there, the usage isn't so great that I'm strongly advocating for any of the fill-ins. That being said, right now it would probably be Delon Wright again. He's very in that D'Anthony Melton role of costing almost $4,500 every night. Probably gets 24 minutes, though I think he got 29 in the last one, and I think that's what I have him projected for again today, because again, no Curry, no Brunson, and they only deploy JJ Barea in case of emergencies, or if they need one who fits conveniently into overhead storage bins. So Delon Wright probably gets his time again today. So Luka going to be my favorite play on this team. Then it would probably be Delon Wright, then Kleber, then Porzingis, then Hardaway. If you ask me to rank the guys on this team right now.
All right. Anything else from this one? Do want to point out Luka Doncic is 1.1 with this multiplier there on SuperDraft. Nice. 700 spots left in their big contest that locked in 20 minutes. I believe James Harden also 1.1. They're giving the superstars a little love. That's
nice.
Yeah.
That is nice. We should get to that Houston game and some other games.
Would you like to do that one next?
It's up to you.
Actually, let's hit Washington and Miami relatively quickly. Washington, yeah. Miami, interested in Jimmy Butler, very nicely priced across the board. I'm interested in Bam Adebayo. Butler is averaging somewhere in the low 50s, I believe, against Washington in 3 meetings this season. Miami is 2-1 against him. I am not worried about Jimmy Butler's, air quote, defense going against Beal. Beal's going to get enough usage, etc. I'm more worried about Beal's price at $10,300 on DK, kind of keeping me away from him. If we move down the list, I guess the ever-tragic Goran Dragic. If I can butcher a name anymore, I don't think it's possible.
That's not bad.
Dragic.
So taking a quick look at
ever-tragic Goran Dragic.
Yeah, I would probably, for the ownership discount, rather play Bam Adebayo than Jimmy Butler. Close. I think I would rather play Bam Adebayo between those two players. They're both in great spots. I have Butler projected for like 1 fantasy point higher, but they're about the same price exactly. So I would take the ownership discount and probably play Bam Adebayo, assuming it's a forward spot and you can manage that. I think he's still forward eligible there. Re-looking at our ownership, I want to take a minute and talk about this. We have number 1 player, Chris Middleton. He is over 50% owned and massively under-owned. Our number 2 player is Eric Bledsoe. He is just under 40% owned and massively under-owned. Our number 3 player is Aron Baynes. I would have less than that. We have him at about 30%. 30% is too high for a guy relative to, I mean, he doesn't project that differently for me. Then I'll just look at other players close to him in range. Danilo Gallinari, I have within 1.5 of him. I have him 3 over Saric. I have him 2 over $100 more expensive DeJounte Murray. I have him 4 over Bogdan Bogdanovic. I have him 3 over Trey Lyles, who is cheaper than him. I have him almost exactly the same as Goran Dragic, who is $200 more. I have him 5 more than McCall Bridges. I have him 4 more than Duncan Robinson. I have him 1 more than Miles Turner, who is basically the same price and position. So he's a fine play. If you say, I love Aron Baynes, I think he's turned into the second coming, all bow, then by all means have 100% Aron Baynes. It probably won't kill you. He ranks just about as well as anyone else on the slate, but he's the same price as Eric Bledsoe, who I have for, I believe, 11 more fantasy points. There's one posit there. So yeah, I would have less Baynes. Urson, we have at 23%. That's honestly a little low for me. It's hard for that not to work out with him starting now. Like, you would need them to just only play him 17 minutes. Just possible, but even then, 3K is 3K. There's an immediate pivot there by playing Marvin Williams if you're feeling frisky, but I would rather go to like Brook Lopez if I'm going to pivot off of it. Next, we have DeMar DeRozan. I like DeMar DeRozan a lot. The matchup is great. He has not been representing the real upside he carries without Aldridge for a number of games in a row. Some of that is systemic. Some of that is the changing in the system and the movement of Trey Lyles in there, which affects how they bring the ball up. And there's a few things that are nominally narking it down. But I still have DeMar DeRozan for 49 fantasy points tonight. Maybe that won't work, but he's 20% owned. I would have well more than that. Brolo, 20%. I like that. Schroeder, 20%. I like that with these guys out. We're starting to get into guys on this team. Here's Marvin at 18%. I suspect that will continue to spread between him and Urson, with Urson getting the start, him going up and Marvin down. But at that differential, I would just play Urson. Butler at 17. I like Butler a lot. That's fine. I'd slightly rather play and Adebayo in one lineup for the ownership. Haven't really gotten to the Knicks. Randall here. I like Randall a lot against Detroit. Game should really suit him. Front court defense has been largely absent. Price down to 7,200. I like Randall quite a bit. Then we have Luka. That's just fine. Then we have Matthew Dellavedova. Okay, I can do Matty. Matty, last game was a bit of an abnormality. He took 4 shots in that game, scored 7 points. He hit his career high in assists. So he happened to also get 6 rebounds. That's more than he'll normally get. He got 14 assists, I think it was. That's well more than he'll normally get. And the matchup not as good. So I still don't mind Delly because he's 3,200, but it's appropriate that his ownership is about where it is, because the matchup is tougher and he's not going to excel in every category again, possibly. Comparing Harden and Westbrook, we have Harden $1,300 higher and only 4% less owned. That's tricky for me, because unlike last game, where I think it was the only one, I had Westbrook literally marked to outscore Harden, which was the first or second time this year that just raw points I had him higher. Now I have Harden by 5 or 6. So with lower ownership, $1,300 is a pretty big differential, but none of that feels great or terrible to me. So yeah. Christian Wood, we have at 11%. I would actually like a lot more than that. They've made a commitment to him. He's the guy who's running the offense here. Yesterday, I preferred Valanciunas. I preferred Gobert. I preferred a couple other guys. But his price was even higher then. He was like 79 and 8.2 or 8.3. Now he's down to 79 and 79, and this matchup is much, much better. So as opposed to yesterday, where I thought he was a little over-owned, where he was literally 20% yesterday, and I said if he was like 10, I would want more, but 20 is probably a little bit higher relative to Gobert, who is 10, and a couple other players. And I think Gobert actually outscored him on FanDuel, and DK I think would outscored him. But long and short of it is, if this is accurate and he's at 11% right now, I'd want more than that of Christian Wood. I realize there's a lot of other priority spend up options. People are trying to get Booker or Westbrook or Harden or Doncic, and he's no longer cheap, or Jimmy Butler or Bam Adebayo or DeMar DeRozan. So there are some very nice spend up options here. But all that together, there's a review of some ownership. Ask me some questions, EMAC. I don't know what we didn't cover.
All right. Thank you, Sexpots. Now the Sexpots are saying go away, Sexpot. This is just awesome.
I thought you said to me, thank you, Sexpot. And I'm like, oh.
Well, that's Fan Vice After Dark, the ill-fated show that never quite.
Like every other show I start with Josh, he's like, Fast Eddie Fear below me. And I'm like, it's awfully forward. He means below me. But the way he said it, I can't
Did Vucevic, is he going to get run off the court? Is a question we're getting. My answer, no. The last game that he played last year with no Clint Capella, there was 35-ish minutes of both PJ Tucker and Kenneth Faried. He dropped 50, 19 and 17. I think he's going to be able to acquit himself just fine. It's a very weird slate where he is the best center by far on FanDuel.
They also don't have any really good options should the aforementioned thing occur. Like, oh, they're going to run him off the court. Okay, so they're going to play... Not going to play Aaron Gordon at the 5. They're not going to be any less run off the courty with Mo Bamba out there. So, no, I do not believe he will be blown off the court.
All right. So people are now panicking. We haven't talked the late game yet.
Okay. We didn't
Toronto...
talk specifically about Aaron Fournier. I prefer DJ Augustine more as the fill in there than Michael Carter-Williams, though I do think they both carry a really significant upside. And Terrence Ross. It's a really nice matchup for that Orlando team. And when you take Fournier out of there, that's, I don't know, 15, 16 shots on average that all of a sudden disappear and have to be redistributed to some of these other guys. So you can false if you want, but I would generally take my shot on those backup guys. And at their prices, Michael Carter-Williams, probably the one who rolls my socks up and down the most, to use a saying you like. I would probably rank them Augustine. Yeah, I would have Augustine on top. I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure out how they're going to defend now because Gordon's out. Yeah, I would have them Augustine, Carter-Williams, Ross in that order, though not any significant distribution. I like getting to all of them, but price included and everything. I think Rock DJ would be my first.
All right, final game we don't have any information on. I'm assuming Van Vliet and Gasol are still going to be out. If Van Vliet plays, it mucks up OG Anunoby. It screws up Norman Powell, whose minutes have both, or whose prices have both hiked up quite a bit. If Gasol's back, I don't really think we're going to, it's going to take minutes away from Chris Boucher. I don't think they're going to push him too much. They've got designs on later in the season. So I'm not really worried about his return, but it does put a little bit of a downtick there for Serge Ibaka. Do you like anything on the Kings side? Let's start there first, less moving parts.
Do I like anything on the Kings side? Let me go back to my projections.
And we have 10 minutes left, so I am going to, probably should run some crunches here or something. You know what?
I did not give NA to a player on the Kings, which is rare. But in cash or tournaments, I did not come up with a Sacramento King. Things could change where Rashawn Holmes won't play on the back-to-back. That might sneak Giles in there. Seems a little bit unlikely. De'Aaron Fox obviously has an A upside, but this is a very difficult matchup and a worse one for him in the event that Van Vliet returns. Buddy Hield is now obviously minutes limited. Bogdan has not been sparkling with the starting lineup. Kent Bazemore really isn't an upside kind of guy. So yeah, it is a team in a difficult matchup that I am dubious to get too much of a stance at. I don't mind if you pick up one of these guys, but I am not super fan of Sacramento, who again also, by the way, is on the back-to-back. We saw them in Portlandia last night.
All right, Toronto. I guess Pascal Siakam probably our best option in the absence of news. Does that move anything for you?
I hate that kind of logic where it's like, I know Pascal will be safe, so I'll play Pascal. Well, that's...
He's not exactly going to be safe. That's the problem.
Why is he not going to be safe?
Well, I like similarly priced Jimmy Butler. I think if you...
Oh, yeah. I just meant looking at the players on the Raptors, the one we can expect to play his minutes almost regardless would be Pascal Siakam. Because everyone else is affected by something. Lowry, minutes and usage affected significantly by VanVleet. Anunoby, minutes and usage affected significantly by VanVleet because they end up sharing with Powell and wing time. Ibaka falls into some sort of division between himself and Marc Gasol, and it just ends up in a mess. But it's like, I want to take someone from this game. How about Pascal? No one will bother Pascal. I like Pascal just fine, but on a fully loaded team, he's again approaching the top of his price range. Now, can he go out and bang out 55 or 60? Absolutely. I ranked him. I would have some in a significant number of tournaments, but it is difficult for me to like him more than, say, Christian Wood or any number of other guys who are around his price. Jimmy Butler. And again, those are using his lowball price on FanDuel, where I think he's 8-1. I think he's 8-8 on DK. So now I'm spending significantly more on him than I'm spending on Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, Devin Booker. He's, I think, 100 more than Sabonis, who I have projected slightly higher, just slightly, but higher. So, yeah, it's tough for me to advocate getting to a lot of Domantas Sabonis. I wish I could have a better take for you, but it's a fine matchup. I got nothing to add here. I have no particular insight into the game or how I expect them to defend in such a way. The Kings, a really good defensive team here. They're not up at the Raptors level, but I think that's another thing that maybe I'm factoring into my internal calculus that isn't immediately obvious. The Kings defense has been much better. So,
Andre Drummond starting.
I expected that. That does very little for me.
600 spots left, 6 minutes to go in SuperDraft. That's some heavy potential overlay brewing. People are not paying attention. Check it out. That's your public service announcement.
Nicely done. I was motivated. Same for myself.
It moved.
It moved me. So yeah, like yesterday we had a game where the Kings were playing and then the Jazz and Denver were playing, and I was like, yeah, I'm most worried about the Kings defense out of those three teams right now. And I might add in that top of my heading this, I think they did the best job. The Kings won, holding Portland to 111.
Portland's toast.
Philly lost to Golden State, where I spent a long time on the show talking about how awful Philly's defense had been. Golden State beat them by whatever. Denver lost to Cleveland. Short-handed Cleveland team got that game. Low scoring, but still I think it's safe to say that I don't know how many points Cleveland was projected for. I got a feeling it was 100 or a little less. They put up like $105 or something to take down that one. Sacramento won its game by a dozen, and the defense has been not exceptional, but pretty good. And Detroit lost to Utah, but they scored 100 and some change. So, Sacramento's probably the best of those teams defensively right now. It's very close. Holmes coming back will help. Giles is a lot of things. Defensive monster. He is not.
All right. Sorry, I'm trying to get my lineups in, and I haven't even run a crunch yet.
Damn it, we're trying to be professional here, Emac.
Well, I'm working on it. I spent too many times trying to kill the sex bots, but there's about 20 of them now, and there's nothing I can do about it. I'm sorry.
Really? I'm going to check out our YouTube channel.
It's brutal.
There's sex bots?
It is brutal. Bots. Austin Powers. Yeah, baby. Very grr.
Machine Gun Jubilees. I thought that was pretty funny.
It is. I'm just not.
Look at me. I should look at the camera more. I'm here. Let's go. Hi, sex bots. Wow.
Any must-play guys? Yeah, everybody.
You're not lying. They have really taken over.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna review ownership again real quick on DK because we're 3 minutes out, and I will start there. Do we have a new update, or is it the same?
I don't know because
we have Middleton. There has been an update. We've risen Middleton some to 56, Bledsoe to 43. I suspect those numbers are both off by approximately 20%. We will see. I would have 100% of both those players at this point. And that's not something I say often. If you follow the shows, Aron Baynes, we have 32%. I would have less. Ersan, we have up to 32. Okay, I'm sold. You're gonna have that. DeRozan 22. I might even have a little more for fifth chalkiest guy. Again, not something I say a lot, but I do like to improve, and the spot doesn't get any better. Rolo 20 is fine. Marvin Williams 19. I would actually probably have less at this point, but I do think having it be inversely proportionate to your exposure versus on Ilyasova makes a lot of sense. Westbrook at 18 and change. Yeah, I'm in for that. That feels about right. Butler at 18. That also feels right. Maybe a little more. Randall, more Randall than you can handle at 18%. That's fine. Dellavedova 17. That's fine. Vooch 14. That's fine. Harden 14. That's fine. Wood 13 now. Come up a little bit. I probably want nominally more, but that's around where that should be. Booker 13 feels good. Adebayo 12. I'd have a little more than that. I think you can get a very nice Adebayo again here. Luka 12. I'd like a little more. Gallinari. Maybe a little more. Rubio seems appropriate. Fox seems appropriate. Holiday seems appropriate. Still price in minutes. That makes sense. DeJounte Murray. I, again, like getting to a combined 40% of him and DeRozan somehow or another. Put it that way. Derek White, fine at that price. Sabonis, I'd want a little bit more. I like the spot for him here. Sarge, fine. Terrence Ross, fine. Augustine. I probably have a little more than that. I like Augustine in the matchup at that price. Beal, 9%. Feels good. He had one monster against Miami already. He can do it again. Butler was in that game. Covington. Thomas Bryant is an interesting one we didn't really get to yet. Difficult to see the minutes getting there to be too exceptional. Matchup, obviously difficult, but even 24 minutes of Tom Bryant at 4,000 should make you say, Derek Jones, 3,400. Someone we should have talked about more. Real quick, I am concerned how much the minutes get up to. I do think there's a real chance he starts now, plays 32 minutes. I think there is a real chance that they get distributed to other guys one way, shape, or another. It can turn into Olynyk time. It can, this being Crowder out I'm referring to, can turn into Iguodala time. Last game, Solomon Hill played the last 14, 15 minutes of that game. So I have some concern. So I still feel like this ownership is a little low relative to the upside you can get of Derek Jones Jr. playing 30-something minutes against Washington. So 9% feels a little too low for me, and I'm just rambling on so Mac can get his lineups in. 9% still feels a little bit low to me. So I'd get on top of that, but I do want to present that it does come with an obvious downside. $6,200 Alfred Payton. I love that. I would want 15%. It says 8 here. Warren fine, Bogdanovich fine, Lyles fine, Barnes fine. Sexton, I don't know. Sexton, he's over 7,000 now, so the psychological price pointing of 6,900 is not making everybody all hot and bothered, but
except the sex bots.
Except the sex bots. The sex bots, I had no idea. Look at this.
Yeah, I had to give up. There's like a dozen of them now. Usually there's only 2 or 3 and I can get them, but until they spawn again. But
you think it's me? Can they detect my desperation?
I don't know, but there's some jumblies out there.
I think by jumblies you mean men working for minimum wage in a sweatshop in China. But yeah, they're out there.
Hey, now they're thanking us. That's good. They think it's the end of the show, so maybe they'll go away.
Oh, right. Time is up. Maybe they'll go away because we are at lock.
Jeez Louise, this has just been... Try to do the nice thing and go on early. And
I'm not going to lie, Emac. I'm an old-ass man, okay? But at no point in my life have I ever said, geez Louise. Like, you really may have put it over the top. We may have to put you on a nice flow. Geez Louise might have been the final straw. Like, if you run a gall darn it out there, we're going to have to replace you with someone with pimples.
All right. I was going to drop an MF, but I figured Tom's probably watching, so... That would be a first for me on air.
I've never dropped an MF. I've dropped several Fs. I have never dropped the MF.
All right. Jeez.
I can't wait for this ownership game because we got the game, right?
We do.
We got the game. I can't wait for this ownership game because
I could have had such a nice set of lineups.
I made a bold like I very rarely disagree with our ownership, which is again the best I've ever seen by a significant margin. Like there's times I go out and I watch a movie and I watch, Bull Durham and I watch Rocky and someone says, "What's the best sports movie of all time?" And I'm like, "Ooh, I don't know. I might get an answer, but it's gonna be really close." But if
Die
someone,
Hard.
that's a Christmas movie, not. Anyway,
See it if you're listening.
Just I'm listening. I'm listening. I'm telling you about it. The
I ran 100% of the $3, so.
Okay, no, what is the 3? Oh, you're counting Urson?
Yeah, I went Urson, Bledsoe, and I
Alright, so I took a hold on, I gotta grab something. But I took a bold stance against our ownership. And anyhow, the illusion I was making regarding the score, I've just disappeared. It's an empty screen. The illusion I was making regarding the, what's the best sports movie and going back and forth. We have the best ownership rankings by a market difference. Asking who has the best ownership rankings in the industry is the same thing as asking who is the best wide receiver in the history of the NFL. There are not two answers to that question. It is not something you can argue. You're not talking, E-Mac.
I can't believe. I can't. There were so many sex bots, it actually broke my chat, so I had to refix this.
All right, sorry. I was looking around for those CDs.
All right, so I've got.
You hear what I said? I was looking around for the CDs.
The CDs.
CDs nuts! Oh, these nuts, C-Mac! These nuts! Got him! I told you it would take one day. Cracked him! Broke him wide open!
Oh.
Vengeance is mine! I shall revenge!
Yeah, it was. You know what, porn bots? These nuts. Bofa. Right here.
Oh, God, I can retire in peace.
Hit the thumbs up. It's been one hell of a day for me. I would appreciate it. Chat is loving you all the way. CDs. Oh, I started thinking you got me on the band, and I was going to make some comment about wearing my Appetite for Destruction t-shirt yesterday. And yeah, teabagged, definitely. The lotion is not in the basket right now. Not so much here. Not so much here. But right here. God damn it.
The lotion in the basket.
Now can I drop an MF for Tom?
I think you'd be entitled. It rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets.
You got the $5 from Man EC.
Thanks, Manny. Look at that. There we go.
Manny says Eddie is hilarious.
Oh, it took a while to set that up. Like I was looking around and you didn't bite. And then I said, I'm looking for those CDs. And I'm like, I don't. And you didn't say anything. I'm like, did you hear what I said? I'm looking for the CDs. And you went, what CDs? I'm like, oh my God. Like I thought I left it. It rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
Oh.
You don't know what pain is. No, it's not. I don't know how randomly I end up doing a different impression every week, but there's Buffalo Bill.
There we are. I just got Zach Williams. Just gave $5 to the EMAC Memorial Fund.
Pour one out. Sorry guys, I got a little crazy when I get, all drunk on that their Triaminic or whatever. Oh, my family's texting me. I hear you screaming in the basement. Is everything okay?
Do you need a little bronzer, Eddie?
No.
A little bronzer for Doze Nuts?
I don't get that.
Bronze the baby shoes. That's such an old thing.
Yeah, that's that you got before my time there.
Right.
I'm unfamiliar with that particular. Oh, got a sore throat.
Thomas Tyner, EMAC drops a GD and then says, "Can I say MF for now?" There are levels. There are 7 words we don't talk about. But you know what? I'm about to say them all.
The so-called 7 dirty words.
All right. Who is the most popular?
Oh my god, we still have ownership. This is
hell, we've got FanDuel locks in 54 minutes. So.
Yeah, we just might as well hang on. So this is where I took a bold stand. I challenged the best.
And the suck spots have gone away. Because
Really?
it's after.
I may have scared them with my crotch chopping and screaming, but. All right, the most highly owned player is Chris Middleton.
You are correct, sir.
Okay.
Was my 100 over or under his ownership?
Your 100 is over, but we had him at 55 or something. I said it'll be higher than 20. I will say 75.
It is 77.7.
This is the best show ever. I'm retiring, everyone. I was considering hanging him up soon anyway. It doesn't get any better. I challenged and bested the best host in the industry. I challenged and bested the best ownership in the industry. There is nothing else to achieve. So lonely on the top of Olympus. Okay, sorry.
All right, Calvin Brown, CyberDAP, thank you. Appreciate the super chat. Who does number 2?
Eric Bledsoe.
At what percent?
We had him at 45 or something. I said that was 20 too low. I'll say 65.
He is 66.6.
It's all happening. It's all happening. Okay.
Who is third?
Ersan Ilyasova.
You are correct.
That I have a feeling we had pretty close. That we had at 30 and something. I think 30 and something is right there. I'll say 35.
He's 35.97.
See, this is easy.
Number 4.
Who wants to play for money? Oh, I have no idea now. Number 4. We have 2 games, right? I got the OKC game.
You have the OKC, and you got this one. And chat, we'll talk a little bit about FanDuel, so don't worry.
Sure.
We'll get you there.
Suns or Thunder. I'll go with Aron Baynes. We had him at something. He's in this game.
He is 4th.
This is easy. We had him at 30 something. That feels about right. So 33.
32.67, Eddie. Getting the top 4 players within 5%.
I thought the top 4 are like 2%. This is easy.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yesterday I missed like the top 3. You're like, no.
All right.
Brooke Lopez.
No. But close.
Chris Paul.
No. Cold. Very cold.
Dennis Schroeder.
You win.
Dennis Schroeder. I don't know. I forget where the old percentages were. Last was Baynes at 30 something. Schroeder, there can't be that many 30s left. 26.
23.3. All right. Then we got Lopez at 20.8. Brooke, that is.
Booker should be
Booker at 18.2. Gallo at 12.4. Saric at 11. Chris Paul at 6.1. Marvin Williams at 6. How do you feel about Marvin Williams at 6 versus Ersan at 36?
I'd slightly rather have Marvin Williams, but Ersan is a better fantasy producer and did pick up the starts. You have to imagine they're pretty close to split minutes, but I didn't want GPP lineup. I'd rather have Marvin, but nothing wrong with any of these numbers. These numbers are fine. I would have more
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Would you like to guess his ownership?
Really? 1.5.
It's 1.
1%?
Yeah.
Nice. Look at that. They knocked off a percentage of the rig for you, everybody. Congratulations.
Kyle Korver, 0.03. Still dealing with the sore back for the 37-year-old?
Oh, he's fine. He played in the last... I believe he's active. He played in the last game, played 12 minutes, shot 1 for 3. Killer Kyle Korver. Killer Kyle Korver. I take Killer Kyle Korver over Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry got 7 points. 7 points. That's 3 buckets. You give me $100 million, I'll get you 3 buckets consistently. I don't know if you know that one, but
I don't.
All right, well, you said Kyle Korver, so I had to get that.
Kelly Oubre Jr. 0.02, Jaylen Brown 0.01, Frank Mason III. I believe he's still with the G League. I don't know that he has graced the Milwaukee lineup with his presence in quite since the All-Star break for sure. I don't know if he has at all this year.
Yeah, there was one relevant player in the G League I wanted to mention. I have a G League thing in my notes.
Giannis .03.
Someone, hey, that's nice.
Oops.
Oh no. Who was down with the G League that I had in my notes I wanted to mention? I had someone who I thought people might roster. Brian Bowen, who started like the last game for the Pacers, is in the G League.
Oh, thank you. Dadler says that Bowen, or pardon me, Bowen, this says that Frank Mason actually did not play in the G League last night.
There you go.
All right, let's get out of that. Let's talk real quick here. Just
people think I got purple drink or whatever, and that the scissor is mixed in a little Henny or something.
You know, 'tis the season. Season. All right, let's hit a few quick ones here on, and I didn't even hit submit on my SuperDraft stuff, so I'm not in the big contest. My apologies. I still get in it from here though.
Everyone knows it's when.
It would be really weird if I could. It got it to 1,600 out of 1,900.
Wow, some nice overlay, guys.
So actually happened there. But I got way too many windows open at the moment. But let's get back to. Got him. Oh boy, my Twitter line is blowing up.
It should. You should get this credit. If you haven't sent Emac a got him with the guy in the teeth on the couch with the you could send Emac one of those right now. Anything over 100 would be acceptable.
Yes. All right. Sorry. Yeah. Well played. I take my hat off, sir.
You started it. You asked for it. I never would have gone there if you hadn't started it.
All right. Fultz is playing. People are freaking out. What do you want to do with Fultz? Does that move the needle for anything?
I don't want to play Fultz really at his price, and he's struggled previously in this matchup, and he hasn't really been worth that number in a little while. You would rather he was out so that you get sexy, Augustine and Michael Carter-Williams, but those guys still get some sort of reasonable boostage in the absence of Evan Fournier. So it does not really change what I said before or how I view the matchup.
The number of people saying that made my day, Emac. That is hilarious. Thank you. I'm always happy to be the foil. I like a good joke, and if it happens to me, hey.
Oh yeah, you have to be able to laugh at yourself in this life. There are many people, some of whom you and I have worked with, who perhaps take themselves a little bit too seriously. I'm hilarious. The same fate awaits us all, so you may as well have some fun and laugh at.
It's just whatever. It was commendable. It was.
I hope someone screen capped it or has a short video of it, because I want to save that and have it buried with me as a reminder of better times when I get old. Because that was a good time right there.
All right, let's see. I gotta save my Fred Van. All right, Norm Powell is more expensive, so that works. So I'll put Norm Powell in, and then I'll have enough money to flip to Fred Van Elite if I get there. Oh, let's go with Terrence Ross. Why not? And I'm saving that one. It's actually a pretty good lineup. All right. Looking at FanDuel, we have 10%. God, their numbers are so... I need glasses. They've got 11,000. Their contest will fill, but their 777 contest, $7.77. The shop machine, you've got some room in there if you want to jump into that one. The layup, the $9.99 version, is about to fill. I'm sure they will spawn one more, and they've got a couple single entry things open at the moment. Over on Yahoo, we have... let's see here. They've got about 600 spots left in their $8 baller. 24,000, 5K to first. In that one, most of their other still room in the quarter, whatever their version of the quarter arcade is, and then they've got a $3 contest that has about 140 spots left. That is 6 entry max. Looks like it was recently spawned. So you got some action over there on Yahoo. If we are looking at just the later games here, Eddie, specifically for FanDuel, let me come over and take a peek at some ownership. And
sorry, I'm sending my friends and family notice of my triumph.
All right.
I totally got this guy with these nuts in front of like 1,000. Oh, sorry, guy.
Yeah, Robin will get a good chuckle out of this.
She will. Best part of my week. Jeez, that's good.
All right. We've got Vooch 36%, Terrence Ross 31%, Jimmy Butler 31%, Pascal Siakam 27%, Westy 25%, DeJounte 24%, Double D's Nuts at 24%, Shetty at 23%, Luka at 22%. Anything stand out as good or bad there?
We're talking FanDuel ownership?
Correct.
Oh, man. See, I'm hoping
my ice is almost gone. My soda is gone. The show is almost over.
What I'm really hoping is that some of the people watching saw it coming. Like, you would have had to have been watching yesterday where you laid the bear trap. And then, but I'm hoping I went, hey, I want to get these CDs. And someone watching was like, he's going for it. He's going for it. He laid the trap. I wonder if he's going to get it. Like, I'm really hoping that someone had a nice anticipation minute there and then got
thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up here on this one. We still have 1,000 people still watching. Wait, congrats to all of you. We have 250 likes. Come on, let's show Josh Engelman how we do this on the weekends. I'm going to ask for 400. Let's get to 400, please.
Let's show this prehistoric bitch how we do things downtown. All right, so looking at ownership here, I got to keep going back to the lobby so I can contextualize with the other guys at that price. Ross 84, that's fine at that position. Or Vooch at 84, 36% owned. Yeah, that's not crazy. It's very similar to Valanciunas from last night, in that he's just the best price per option. Not quite the upside Val had, but fewer viable pivots. So I'm fine with that. Ross at 52 at shooting guard. Yeah, that feels about right. God forbid he ever, like last game, he literally had like 35 points and no stats. It's hard to do. But Houston is good. I don't mind that. Butler, sure. Siakam, I got to see how bad small forward is. Because, again, that price obviously more appealing. And remember, I don't mind Rudy Gay at small forward as a cheap option. Let's go, Bledsoe. Clap, 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 clap.
I love that the first porn bot that comes in like the last 5 minutes says, thanks. Good show.
You're welcome. Yeah, small forward's pretty nasty. I would over-own Derek Jones Jr. relative to the field, especially with the FanDuel scoring. He's turned into a guy who can really pick up a good number of steals. So 13% Derek Jones. I would want more than that looking at small forwards.
Jerome Robinson out. Isaac Bonga starting.
All right, that's pretty relevant. If for nothing else, then you should push the Shabazz Napier minutes because they don't.
Revenge? Did you say revenge?
I didn't say revenge.
LeBron's guy. Revenge.
That was great. You should draft the Shabazz Napier guy. And I'm gone. Like that. Yeah, that was a strong move by him. But yeah, that is a thing that happened.
Thanks for the kind words, everybody. Yes, Eddie and I you guys thought this was actually my 30th 3-0 season of fantasy basketball. So think of how long you have been alive, dear viewer, and I've been playing fantasy basketball for 30 years.
This is actually my 30th year of fantasy sports.
Basketball was my first, Eddie, because it took me 5 years to get into a football league. Why? Because the internet didn't exist and all the leagues were full that I knew about.
I always watched a lot of them, but I'm only in like 12 years of basketball or something like that. This is like 30 years of. I started with baseball, then football, then finally found my truest and deepest love.
Ooh, someone's saying Ben McLemore's out.
Mm,
That Daniel House, I guess, because Eric Gordon's already out too.
Yeah, it would not change a
Jeff
ton.
Green, a Damari Carroll sighting, perhaps.
It'd be Jeff Green and Damari Carroll. Jeff Green, it's nice because they're playing him more not at the 5. Like he had been their backup center basically, which is hilarious that their 2 centers are 6'6" and 6'5" or whatever, but they had him basically backing up PJ Tucker. And last game especially, he got some extra time and had a really nice game. So I don't mind Jeff Green.
Ron Reese would like you to know that he acknowledges you are so old that you remember that D's Nuts were originally a reference to Dionne Warwick's backup singers.
God, I had not.
Dionne Warwick, you might remember her.
I know who Dionne Warwick is quite well. I've met Dionne Warwick. We'll go one step further. So,
did you know she's related to Marilyn McCoo? I believe.
I did not.
I think so. Now I'm making things up, but Solid Gold. Anybody remember that TV show?
Yeah.
If not Vooch, this is actually a good question from Laminator. If not Vooch, who would you pivot to at center on FanDuel? I think Miles Turner is really the only option, in my opinion. I get Portis, maybe. Jeff Green center on Yahoo for $10. I don't know that he is on FanDuel.
I mean, Henson is in play. Drummond is in play. Wagner is in play as a super cheap option. He's 3,700. He is 200 over the floor there.
Yeah.
PJ Tucker is in play. Marc Gasol, if he was ruled in, is in play at $4,000. But yeah, Willie Cauley-Stein is in play if somehow, I don't know, something weird happens. He's not in play with Kristaps and
Derek White or Elfrid Payton, obviously different price points, but
I would rather play Elfrid Payton based on where we're seeing them both owned. Okay. Yeah. FanDuel, I like Rudy Gay as the also ran from that team, if you will. Small forward at 4,400. That feels slightly best to me of those guys at their prices. You can certainly Trey Lyles at 5,200. I slightly prefer getting to some of the spend up options there. Gordon 71. I like that. Wood is 79. Randall is 76. There's a lot of, upside. Adebayo's power forward there. He's 81. So there's a lot of spend uppy options that carry a very big upside that I'd consider.
Oh, so now I remember why I said Marilyn McCoo. She replaced Dionne Warwick on Solid Gold.
Right. That's right. She was the following host, yeah.
Dionne Warwick is actually Whitney Houston's
godmother.
Cousin, sort of.
Something. I thought she was like her godmother or something. But
it looks like maternal. It looks like maternal cousin. There's a couple things that aren't exactly lining up, but it looks like she looks like she's related by marriage for sure, and potentially might be her second or third cousin. So there you go.
Coke dealer, maybe.
What was Dionne Warwick's thing? Was she sell something, or was she a spokesperson for something?
No, she's Psychic Friend networked up that for a while.
Madame Cleo.
Yeah, not the same, but similar outfits.
Who cares? Talk basketball. You've got 36 minutes until lock on FanDuel and Yahoo.
I will answer any questions put to me. I rely on EMAC to be operator.
Derek White, Adebayo, or Elf Payton and Covington.
I would probably run Elf Payton and Covington.
Yes, that is where I would go as well. Jojo Mojo says, "Don't talk basketball."
That's fine. You can never please everyone, even not just within that, but when you are talking basketball, everything you say is useless to some degree of the people. So you try to be as relevant as possible, but a lot of it is redundant. If I go out here and say this guy has this many fantasy points and is averaging these numbers, that's useful to half of you and completely dead weight to the half of you who already know it. So it's something I think about a lot is what to say.
Now they're coming in fast and furious. Let me get over. There's FanDuel single entry for the man, myth, and legend himself, D's Nuts. Can you provide some thoughts on Shetty Osman?
I really don't mind him. The minutes have been really secure. The matchup with San Antonio, not one that particularly bothers me out on the wings. He should start again. And you're looking at possibly 40 minutes at a guy who's 41, 44. So cash, I'd play him over, say, Derek Jones and Rudy Gay, because they both have a real minutes floor. Like, you could only get 20 minutes out of one of those players. Chetty, something's got to go weird to not play 36, 38 minutes. So, yeah, I'm generically a fan of Chetty in that matchup.
All right. Sabonis or Wood on FanDuel?
Yeah, I mean, you're spending $400 on Sabonis, but for the purpose of this example, I'll imagine that's irrelevant. Based on where their ownership comes in, I expect I would prefer Sabonis, but let me check where we have those guys. So I suspect Sabonis is a bit lower. We have Christian Wood at 20%. We have Sabonis at 18.5. So they're 1% different from each other. I, at that point, from a raw projection standpoint, would slightly prefer Christian Wood.
By the way, if you haven't put Christian Wood in 1.5 multiplier over there on SuperDraft, they do have a late swap. SuperDraft, Super Chat. This is from Random, literally. He would like to know Jimmy Butler and Elf or Westbrook and Holiday for DK Cash. He still has late swap moves.
Yeah, I would probably... I would take Butler and Elf. Elf obviously feels a little dirty in cash. Do we have a Knicks update? Because at the start of the day, I could get this backwards, but Ntilikina was questionable and Frankie was probable. Like, we didn't know necessarily that all the Knicks point guards.
Ntilikina is Frankie.
Sorry,
I believe DSJ.
Ntilikina and Dennis was the Dennis has the concussion. He's questionable. Ntilikina's probable, I think.
Dennis Smith Jr. is out.
Okay, so
Ntilikina
that helps
probable.
a little bit.
Brandon Knight still questionable.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'll go on the Elf side then. Feels a little better. He should get his 30 whatever minutes, and that matchup is actually really quite strong. So
Portis or Thompson on FanDuel for Mr. Mullin?
Portis or Thompson is the question.
Yes.
I have to go with. Geez, I don't really want to play either of those guys. I have to go with neither of them. And I think it's barely in a tournament Portis, barely in a cash game Thompson. Neither guys I'm excited to get in there because of potential very limited time.
Russell Westbrook or James Harden on DraftKings? I think they're relatively close in price there.
They're not. They're.
Oh, was it FanDuel? They're much closer.
They're FanDuel. They're $300 difference. DraftKings, I believe they are 10 and 11.3.
Let's see. Harden is 11.3 and Westbrook is 10 on FanDuel.
Yeah.
Or DraftKings, sorry.
Right. So any raw point sensibility, Westbrook. Now, I do have Harden back projected higher than Westbrook today. I like the matchup for him a good bit more. I have him 5.5 points higher or something. So it's going to come down to an ownership question, because even with his higher projection, I would prefer Westbrook over Harden. So it's going to come down to what we have them projected at ownership-wise. We have Westbrook at 19%. We have Harden at 14%. Right. So it's obviously more of a 2x2 because it's going to be Westbrook and Guy versus Harden and Guy. But setting that aside, at those ownerships, I'm more excited to play Russell Westbrook. I'm not getting much of an ownership tax, if you will, and I have him projected better points per dollar. And yeah, I would rather play Westy.
All right. Somebody asking about Drummond. Drummond's starting. So not only
he is starting.
He is starting.
Yeah, I don't know if he's finishing. He's still on the injury report with the questionable leg. Again, I feel good about Drummond in that I've liked him exactly one day out of the last 20, and he was the best player on the slate at 7%, owned and $7,000. I don't think he is out of play as an option. Certainly, I have him at 28 minutes. The matchup is very strong. I have him projected for somewhere around 39 or 40 fantasy points, which is tolerable at an 8K or slightly raised price tag. It's very variable. I think in general I like it in tournaments because there is a high variance in scores. But Tristan Thompson was not even on the injury report. So, 26-22, 24-24 are back in the realm of possibilities here. So, playable, but not someone for whom I'd have a lot of appeal.
All right, we're going to do about 5 more here, and then we're going to dip on out of here. Thoughts on DeJounte Murray?
Yeah.
Do you like him more or less than White for the price point, assuming they're both starting?
I would rather play DeJounte Murray than Derek White at their numbers. It's only about $1,000 extra at this point, and I just think the ceiling relative to price is still higher, even with the higher salary. I would not play him alongside DeRozan. I want one of those guys or the other. But yeah, I'm confident in him. I think I give him a B and an A for rankings. Like I like him in GPP. So yeah, I would go with DeJounte Murray among those.
All right, 2 super chats. Manny C asks thoughts on Dragic.
Yeah, I do think at his price, I would rather. This is more of a. I'm putting my undefeated Heat guard streak on the line here, but this is more of a Dragic at his price than none day for me. Now it's nervous because it's nerve wracking because part of the method to the madness here is that I generally like Dragic against worse teams or teams that defend point guards fairly well because none goes out and has a very straight line game where he can get going against certain teams and then he just gets certain time. And there was the best of these days was whatever it was a couple weeks ago where I implored to play none over Dragic. I had none projected higher and none was 15% owned and Dragic was 30% owned and none outscored him significantly. This is a tough spot for me because I can see none getting there. So this is not a clear choice for me like that one, or I would have talked about it more. But at their numbers, I'm a little more inclined to play Goran Dragic today. And I like him quite a bit in tournaments. It's obviously a matchup where he can get there. They're still missing a couple of guys. So I like him quite a bit. I would generally rather play Dennis Schroeder at this point as an important comparison point. But
all right. Ooh. $503 in play, 511 currently winning. Just can you guys see that? There you go.
Oh, you're saying you're plus $8 or something?
That's one hell of a return. Super chat. Any love for Justin Jackson on FanDuel in the mix there for Dallas?
So we only ended up actually. So we're missing. Sorry, the injury news came in the middle, and I just did it mentally. But we're missing DFS, Brunson, and Curry.
Yes.
Okay. So
I want to double check that Curry's out real quick.
He's out. He's been out for hours.
Yes, he's out. Thank you. Pashnik's out for Washington. That one slipped by me.
Not yeah, I mean it's I like Wagner a little bit more now. They did not play Mahinmi last game. You got DMPCD'd last game.
Hey, if you're gonna do a little Flight of the Valkyries, Arlie Ermy says, "Oh yeah,
I got it." Okay, wait. Who am I looking up? I'm looking at rotations, and I forgot the player I'm looking for. It's Dallas.
Josh Jackson.
Hey, there we go.
Yes, Josh.
I'm sorry, Josh Jackson.
Bless it. And he just played Memphis with Jaren Jackson and why am I blanking on the other Jackson? I am for real. Yeah, I don't sing falsetto well.
I can't do it quietly, or I would. Sorry, I have to redo the whole damn thing. I remember it's pretty.
Thank you, Farusha. Oh, Gunatilik. Guessing on that one, Gunatilaki. But thanks for the $5 super chat.
Come on, I wanna lay ya. You like a pika pee?
Skin boat to Tuna Town.
There you go. I was about to say that movie should be named after us.
Jesus. The scene where they're carrying the portrait of Jesus in the moving truck. It's like, yeah. Underrated. All right, 2 more super chats after this one, and then
I'm trying. I don't
no,
wanna,
I know. I'm letting people know that we're winding down because I
gotta
really
figure out where he fits in the rotation. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist is out too.
He is out. Yes.
Okay, I gotta strip his minutes away. You're killing me. You're killing me, Smalls. I don't care. I can quit this job. I got my CDs nuts and
Jeez. I want to make the social media guys put together some dramatic video footage of us.
I want swelling music in the background, and then just all of a sudden
we can use Flight of the Valkyries for that.
Fireworks and shit. I'm really upset. I have to keep giving Jackson like 26 minutes. There, it's always going to depend a lot because he will play in a blowout. All right, how much does he cost?
Like 30 something.
Don't guess. No.
I just had it. I want to say it was 37. It is 35.
On what?
Sorry, that is FanDuel. 35 on
FanDuel. Yeah, I'd like him.
DK is 31.
Yeah, I like him. Correlates a little bit negatively with Kristaps or Doncic because, while not impossible, more likely he gets to an upside in a blowout there. Yeah, I have him at 26 minutes and 21.5 fantasy points and basically at the floor. He looks pretty good. I may not have ranked him. I remember looking at him earlier today. I'm curious if I cut him out entirely. If so, that's twice this week that I missed a guy I should have ranked. I did not rank him again. Yeah, he ended up playing 30-something minutes in that last game. Where was it? Yeah. Where Dallas? Where they whooped Memphis? Where is it?
Memphis.
Yeah, they spanked Memphis. Yeah, he played 32 minutes in that game. It's obviously an injury special, but really good point. Yeah, I support playing him, and obviously he's not well owned. So yeah, by all means, my son, get in there. I would probably rather play him than I'd probably still have to go with Chetty, but he'd be real close for me with Derek Jones.
Here's a I don't know what to do with Iguodala. So Porzingis and Iguodala or Randall and Davis Bertans. I would go Randall and Davis Bertans just because I don't trust anything with Iguodala, but I literally have not watched what he's been doing.
I agree. Yeah, he's also just the minutes are fairly suspect. I have him for 20, 21 minutes tonight. That team just runs really deep, so they can turn that minutes into everyone from, Olynyk to Iguodala to Jones to, like, they just have a lot of fill-in pieces behind there to take that extra time. So, yeah, I would be also disinclined towards the Iguodala side. And he just generally hasn't looked good, so.
They're saying I should hit the cash out button to get my money. Oh, I'm up to 523 now. Woohoo! So I played NASCAR, XFL, NHL, basketball. I'm missing a sport. NHL, NASCAR, basketball. Oh, XFL. No, XFL. I had all 5 today, Eddie. Oh, and golf. And golf! 6 DFS sports today. Oh, boy.
Hey, if you can make enough money at it to make it not, heinous, go with gut.
Well, as you saw, making my what? My 2% right now. We'll say, hey, as long as it's positive. I'm down to 506 now. That could be a problem.
Plus, I think, for some reason, they pay you to do these shows.
They do. That is nice.
Well, there you go.
Although the risk of ruin of my lineups going in on these shows at the same time, not great. Not great.
I hear you.
Last question from Whammy. Sorry, those projections were out a little bit later. I think
Phoenix beating the Bucks by 20, by the way. So,
wow.
Giannis for MVP, but go ahead.
Barrett, Mitch Rob. Oh, please. I think this is please rank for our final one for Whammy. Barrett, Mitchell Robinson, Victor Oladipo, or Bertans on DK.
Yeah, I have all those guys in a pretty narrow band. They all feel the same to me in that they do carry enough of an upside to beat, mid-4s to mid-5s price tags. They're going to be on that much. Setting aside any correlation within your lineup, for me, it's probably Oladipo, then Mitch Rob, but very similar between those 4 players. Like, I really don't mind getting any of those guys.
All right. There's 1,000 of you left here. Hit that like button. We're going to dip on into premium Slack here, but we would appreciate, hey, if we could get to 400, that would be a new Sunday record. Thank you very much.
It.
And we've now been on air for an hour and 56 minutes, so
yeah,
we're good.
I'll just get warmed up. But
I think we covered everybody. Last chance or last thoughts. How do you have a feel if Fred VanVleet or Gasol play? My guess is Gasol might for about 15 minutes. I don't think VanVleet. They can win this one.
I really don't have much of a feel at all. It's interesting. I wonder what's going on for Phoenix. Phoenix up by 20 at the break. 30 points in the first. This can't be accurate timing. Something is wrong here. Okay. ESPN is busted. It says there's no time left in the second. I'm like, this game is 52-30 at the half. I kind of doubt that.
No, they get all screwed up at the end of the quarters.
That clock is wrong. I'm curious who's going off for Phoenix. You got 10 so far for Baynes in 10 minutes. That's about what I'd project out of him. Like I did not mind Baynes. It was just like he's gonna play 30-something minutes and score 30-something fantasy points. I'd rather not have the one who's 35%.
52-30 right now with 9 minutes to go. In the second.
Devin Booker doing what expected. That's good. 20 points, 4 assists, and a rebound. That feels good. Bridges doing nothing. Saric doing about the same. Yeah, that seems about right.
Okay. All right, gamers. With that, we're going to get on out of here, but it's starting all again at 9:30. Tomorrow, you have Josh Engelman, the Stash Boy, with Dave Lochran, I believe, is the Monday host. Laffy just finished up his Sirius XM and was messaging me. So shout out to Laffy. And shout out to the Philadelphia 76ers for being so bad on the road, yet so good at home. Hopefully they get healthy soon. SuperDraft, give them a look. If you have not yet signed up, use the promo code Awesemo when you sign up. When you hit that first deposit, if it's $100, they will give you $20 in super cash. It's their site currency. It is available for immediate use into any contest. And then Eddie, we just have a 3-gamer tomorrow. It's 7:30. I think 7:30, 10, and 10:30 or something crazy like that.
If you want to add me, I'll do it. But I like a good 3-gamer. An hour and a half of research instead of 4 hours makes me happy. But I think I'm off tomorrow.
Yeah, 7:30 and 2 9s tomorrow. Tuesday we come back with 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 games. Wednesday we got a 6er. Friday we got 5. Thursday we got 5. Friday we've got 7. And then next Saturday, Eddie, yikes, line them up. 7:30 start, and we have 2, 4, 6, 8 games. So a lot going on.
Nice.
Baseball around the corner.
Yep, so I am told. I will, as always, move into more of a solo outfit, get some more Rin Pack in my life, and as they head on into the hardball, I will be here with the round bouncy ball till the lights go out.
Excellent. Taking the skin boat to Tuna Town. I think that was Grumpy Old Man 2.
Might have been 1, but it's one of the Grumpy.
I forget. Burgess Meredith, National Treasure.
National Treasure. You can't eat bacon every meal. It's that movie.
Come on, I want to lay ya.
Yeah, you like a peek at pee-pee. That was I was trying to.
The outtakes on that one were phenomenal.
The outtakes, because he's talking to, I think, Sophia Loren's mom or whatever, and
yes,
she's like, I went to Hawaii, and she's like, what island? And he's like, come on, I want to lay ya. You like a peek at pee-pee?
Oh, Walter Matthau, Jack Lemmon,
yeah,
good stuff.
Funny stuff, and Margaret.
Daryl Hannah.
There's a lot of, and Margaret.
A lot of people chewing the scenes on that one. All right, 20 more. Get us to 400 likes as we sign on out of here. We'd appreciate that. You can follow Eddie at Fast Eddie Fair on Twitter. I am at Bofa D's Nuts DFS, and of course it is Awesemo_COM.
Oh, I have like 60 Twitter notifications. I'm hoping they are all pictures of me dancing on these nuts.
All right, with that game.